Welcome to Blog Talk Radio in high fidelity. Welcome to Blog Talk Radio in high fidelity.
Good morning, and thank you so much for joining me for Modern Living with Dr. Angela. I'm your host, Dr. Angela Chester. My guest today is Calvin Cassady, and we are Bridging the Gap, the name of his book. Author Calvin Cassady is sharing with us a very wonderful and eye-opening experience today, a story of a fiery car crash that sends a teenage boy on a spiritual journey to heaven and results in a life of spiritual fulfillment on earth. Well, Calvin is a retired school teacher. His career in education spans 40 years. Currently, he is serving on the tribal council and participating in tribal government affairs for the Seneca-Cayuga Nation of Northeast Oklahoma. You can find out more about Calvin online, of course, at calvincassady.com. Our music is brought to you today by Cool Breeze by Mabel Annabelle, and you can find her on Amazon and on iTunes. If you are listening to this on one of our enhanced versions, then of course you know that you can simply click on those links and it will take you to the appropriate website. So without any further ado, let's welcome Calvin Cassady onto the show. Good morning, Calvin. Thank you so much for being here with me today.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Now, such a wonderful intro to your book. The story sounds like it is so incredibly exciting. What made you decide to write Bridging the Gap?
Well, it became, after the experience, it just seemed over time that it was a story that needed to be shared. And, the first part of the book deals with the crash and the transformation. But the rest of the book deals with the effect of that event. So basically to show, give people confidence that, that there is a heaven, and that, and then to show that a life, you can have a really fulfilled life if you live it through God.
And I love how you say it was simply time to share it, that the world needed to know. And that is so incredibly true. We need to know that even though it looks like it may be a life-changing moment or a tragedy in the beginning or the front side, boy, can it really be life-changing for the positive on the backside once we've had a moment to really look at it and see what's going on there. Now, I know that for many people, they enjoy books that are done a certain way, or readers have a preference. But I understand that you have kind of organized your book in a way that you think is best for the reader to be able to understand what happened. How is your book different in its organization style?
Well, it starts out with the 40 years ago, basically, almost 50 years ago now, when I was a teenager and I had this remarkable experience. So that would be the first part, that and the transformation. The second part deals with classroom experiences, which I felt was most important as far as what I was my life's goal. And then the third part is challenges in my life, and I put that part in to show that then the last part is more about the future.
I like that. So you kind of get uh, if it were a movie, it'd kind of be like a flashback, a little foretelling, foreshadowing, and all of that. Very interesting how that's done. Yes, I love that. Keep you intrigued, keep you involved in the book. I love a good book that keeps you going, that you just can't seem to put it down, even though you know it's time for bed. Well, listeners, we need to take a very short break, but when we get back, we will definitely continue our conversation with author Calvin Cassady. He has written the book Bridging the Gap. You are about to hear Cool Breeze by Mabel Annabelle. We'll be back right after this.
Like a cool breeze blowing over me, he's preparing me, restoring everything the way it's supposed to be. My God, my King, he sits upon a throne and my heart is torn. He says, just come boldly, like a cool breeze. Peace reigns here. Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
And we are back. That was Cool Breeze by Mabel Annabelle. And I hope I'm saying her last name correctly. It's Annobil. Thank you so much for supporting both of our guests today. That would be one author, Calvin Cassady, and you can find him online at calvincassady.com. Any music that we play, you can always click on the link to go to their appropriate pages. So, Calvin, another question that I have for you regarding your book is, some people may pick up the book and say, man, I don't know if I believe this. This is just, some fiction. Because there's always those people out there that are going to try to shoot us down, no matter, what we say or what we do. But how do you deal with the skeptics, or what do you tell skeptics about your experience and what happened in your life?
Well, I begin by, sharing the story, and if there's some reservations or drawbacks, I'm not gonna argue with anybody, because everybody has their own belief. But if you believe in miracles, that's true. If you believe in miracles, though, you will have no trouble accepting this. And if that does say it enough, the latter part of the book explains exactly how it works, how God can work in your life, and you can't argue with that.
That is so true. People many times will say, you can say whatever you want to say, but you cannot change my mind about my personal experience. And I could just see listeners, nodding their heads saying, that's right. If you've had an encounter or an experience, or just a knowing and understanding of how awesome God has been in your life, then it's really there's nothing anybody can do about that. It's not gonna change your mind at all. Well, in our society today, we have an understanding, or even, to be quite honest with you, I think some miseducation or some misunderstandings about Native American heritage, about Native American culture. So I ask you this question. So just in case there's someone who is trying to wrap their mind around this, do you believe that your heritage, your culture, has any direct influence on how you wrote your book, or the understanding of how you express yourself? Do you think that there's any conflict in any way for someone who is not of Native American heritage, understanding how you wrote the book?
Well, Native American culture, unfortunately, is as we move deeper into the future, the real Native American religion and celebrations and things like that have been replaced with Christian beliefs, and almost,
Mm-hmm.
in almost every tribe. And there are some
Mm-hmm.
that are, that believe that still believe in the Native American way. But for me, the conflict came, and it went as I studied both Christianity and our Native American ways. And there's two ways of looking at everything. You can look at all the differences, or you can look at all the similarities. And when you look at all the similarities, you know, we all worship one God, and that's the most important thing.
Thank you so much for that answer. I love that. Look at the similarities. Look at the things that bind us together. I love that answer. Now, when it comes to your book, Bridging the Gap, how long would you say it took you to complete the project? Was it something, that in a weekend you were able to do it? Did it take a month? Or do you think that it was just a labor of love that took, a few years to finally complete?
Well, it took several years, but journaling is a very important thing if you're going to tell a story. And I began journaling off and on as soon as I got out of the hospital. And looking back on those notes every now and then makes you think, well, we need to put it all together. And then we had a discussion at our church about spiritual autobiography, and that seemed to be where this was going to fit in. And I did some research on how to go about that and how to put it together. And so after that, it took probably about 4 years.
Okay. Yeah. People just don't understand sometimes that it really and truly does take some time for the good stuff to get out there. That if we're just patient and we're diligent with everything, and we just keep following the steps, that it will definitely come to fruition. Well, listeners, we need to take a very short break, but when we get back, we will definitely continue this conversation that we are having with Calvin Cassady. He is the author of Bridging the Gap. You can find him online at calvincassady.com. We'll be back right after this.
Do you know how much you're paying annually in hidden fees to manage your 401k? A 2% fee will eat away half of your 401k over 30 years, and average fees are an astounding 3 to 5%. So is your 401k a benefit or a liability? Is there a better way to save for retirement? One without hidden fees, taxes, or stock market losses? There is. Find out how you can save your family's financial future by calling Wade Taylor at 818-860-0661 or visit iwanttohelpfamilies.com and click on Retire with Dignity.
And we are back. Thank you so much for joining me for Modern Living with Dr. Angela. I'm your host, Dr. Angela Chester. My guest today is author Calvin Cassady. He has written a book called Bridging the Gap. You can find him online at calvincassady.com. Well, Calvin, we are down to the show, and I always like to just kind of leave that open to my guest. The one question that I have for you is that what is one takeaway that anyone who is reading your book, what do you want them to take away from that? But the open-ended question is, if there's an important bit of wisdom that you could share from your life of the process of either writing the book, what would that be?
Well, the whole book and the whole premise of the book is that, good, strong lives are built around good, strong belief systems, especially when you're working with young people or anybody that's fallen into problems. A quick investigation will show you that, what do they believe in? Do they believe in themselves? How are they going to solve these problems? And it all starts in the home, but that's not saying that there are problems that exist outside of childhood, because there certainly are. But that's what I believe, that you have to have a good, strong belief system. You have to have a good, strong team around you to follow through if you're having some troubles in life, and So, you have a belief system in God, you have a belief system in the community that surrounds you.
Yes. Well, Calvin, thank you so much for being a guest on Modern Living with Dr. Angela today. And
You're
listeners,
welcome.
thank you. And listeners, thank you for joining us for another episode of Modern Living with Dr. Angela. I would like to quickly say thank you to our international audience. Our top listing countries this week is Canada, Hong Kong, Israel, and the United Kingdom. And of course, thank you to the great, great country of the United States for being our number one listener. Thank you so much, everyone. I hope that you are enjoying your holiday season and that you are preparing for a safe and prosperous 2018. Have a great day, everyone, and I will see you next year. Goodbye. I'm leaving you with music by Mabel Annabelle, Cool Breeze.
Like a cool breeze blowing over me, he's preparing me, restoring everything the way it's supposed to be. My God, my King, he sits upon a throne and my heart is torn. He says, just come boldly, like a cool breeze. Peace reigns here. Yes, it does. Yes, it does.